so serene. You are so close to death. I am so close to my bridegroom.
Can't wait for the next episode of the Saints podcast from the Marinators at Relevant Radio? Now, you can stream many of your favorite Saints stories and listen straight through. Our award-winning, family-friendly audio adventure series is easier than ever to listen to, combining all 5 daily segments together into one seamless file. Visit relevantradio.com/Saints to start listening to our full-length versions. Tune in nightly at 7 p.m. Central to the Family Rosary Across America, sponsored by Ave Maria University. Psychology, to theology, and philosophy. These fields of study, paired with an authentically Catholic liberal arts core curriculum, allow Ave Maria University students and faculty to discover joy in the truth in a faith-filled.
To enroll today.
Some would say truth is relative, and to the world, that's right. What the world considers to be truth fluctuates depending on the narrative they're trying to promote. Of course, we know truth is found in Scripture, and it never changes. The documentary, The God Who Speaks, proves the Bible's reliability as the source of real truth and reinforces our belief in it as our firm foundation. Watch it anytime at stream.afa.net. That's stream.afa.net.
Faith and Finance is thankful for support from The Good Investor, book by Robin John. In his book, Robin shares his journey from an immigrant child struggling in school to co-founder and CEO of Eventide Asset Management, a faith-based investment firm. This faith and work memoir seeks to inspire readers to view their work and investments as opportunities to honor God and bring blessing to the world. More information is available at goodinvestor.com. That's goodinvestor.com.
Abraham Hamilton III, host of The Hamilton Corner.
American Family Association is on the front lines in the culture war in America. We've been here for more than 40 years, fighting for the biblical principles our nation was founded upon. And by God's grace, we are making a difference.
Contact the AFA Foundation today to learn how you can shore up permanent income for your retirement years while supporting American Family Association. Phone 800-326-4543, extension 345.
Faith and Finance is grateful for support from Sound Mind Investing. If you have money in an investment account, you know sometimes the stock market can seem like a roller coaster. But it's possible to enjoy both profit and peace of mind as a do-it-yourself investor, no matter what's happening in the market. A short video webinar about that is available at soundmindinvesting.org. Financial wisdom for living well. soundmindinvesting.org.
Thanks for joining us today on Faith and Finance here on American Family Radio. I'm Rob West. Looking forward to taking your calls and questions today on anything financial. Go ahead and call right now. We've got some lines open. They are filling up, but we've got room for you at the moment. Anything in your financial life is in play today. We can talk about your savings, your investments, perhaps your giving or your debt repayment, whatever you want to consider. We'll help you process that through the lens of a biblical worldview and biblical principles. You know, God's word speaks to money authoritatively. God's word speaks to everything authoritatively, but certainly this area of money is on the heart of God, not because he needs something from us. Remember, he owns it all. It's because he wants something for us, and he knows that money is closely connected to our hearts. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. If something's going to derail God from first position, the way I read Scripture, it's most often going to be things related to money and possessions. It has a way of drawing our attention and focus away from God and allowing us to place our trust in our bank accounts and our stock portfolios. But God's plan is that we would trust him, that we would see him as our ultimate treasure, put money in its proper box as a tool, a good gift from God to be used to bring him glory and to accomplish his purposes for our enjoyment. Don't miss that. That's one of the big pieces of this good gift that was created to bring us joy and delight, but also to love our neighbors through our giving and even our investing when we do that strategically, to provide for our families. These are all good things so long as money doesn't occupy a place it was never intended to in our hearts. We also see principles in God's word that we can pull out. You know, the big ideas that we see in Scripture around living within our means and avoiding the use of debt, because debt mortgages the future, and having some long-term goals, because the longer term your perspective, the better the decision you'll make today. And giving generously and having some liquidity or margin, because as Proverbs says, there's precious oil in the house of the wise. The foolish man gulps it down or swallows it up. So when we apply these principles, there's actually practical steps we can take. So we want to help you think about the things going on in your financial life through that biblical worldview, starting with a right understanding of money, but also pulling out these principles we see in Scripture that give us very practical solutions moving forward. You can get in on the conversation today at 800-525-7000. We'll head there in just a moment. First, in the news today, it seems that many Gen Xers, those now in their 40s to early 60s, are facing a retirement squeeze, really where we started today with Jeff Hainan. With savings falling short of expectations, side hustles are emerging as a core part of their long-term financial planning. A recent Investopedia survey found that more than 42% of Gen Xers plan to rely on side hustles, or what has been coined as gig work, during retirement, more than any other generation. Many in this group report low confidence in hitting the $1 million savings mark, often viewed as a benchmark for a secure retirement. It seems like that's becoming 2 or even 3 million these days with costs where they are, but nevertheless, even that 1 million mark is seen as a stretch. Instead of slowing down, they're preparing to work longer, freelance, or build small businesses to generate income well into their later years. And it's interesting that even experts who may not be believers say that Gen Xers may redefine retirement entirely, not as an exit, but as a reinvention, because a side hustle, as they call it, doesn't necessarily have to be for pay. If your finances allow it, you might use that margin to serve your church or invest in kingdom work in other ways. And remember, there is no sacred secular divide when it comes to our work. We were created in the image of a worker, God himself, who creates out of nothing. We then are able to co-create with God, created in his image, taking the latent potential in his creation and allowing it to be created into something new that creates human flourishing and allows us to love our neighbor. It's this virtuous cycle of hard work that leads to production, leads to economic expansion, that allows us to give back to the God who created us and everything in the world as a way to calibrate our hearts to him. And, it's part of God's design that we would be workers throughout the whole of our life, which is an entirely different view of this idea of reaching an age where we cease all productive activity that the culture has kind of thrust upon us. So perhaps this isn't a bad idea as we think about working longer. Nothing wrong with a rhythm of rest and even sabbatical as you transition into the fourth quarter of life. But remembering God created us to work for his glory and to love people and to create human flourishing is a part of his design. I don't think that has an expiration date. I know we started there today by talking about mentoring, but certainly this date I think fits right in line with that as well. All right, let's dive into your questions today. We've got lines open, 800-525-7000. Before we hit this first break, let's head to Larry will be our first caller. Go ahead, sir.
How doing?
Good. Thanks for your call.
You might recognize my voice by now. You've been able to help me a lot here in the past. So
excellent.
Yeah. So anyway, I have a question concerning some investment. My son has property. He purchased property for a new build, and this would be his first adventure as far as mortgages and so forth. He's been able to save probably over half for a down payment for the build.
Okay.
And we're waiting on the builder to get freed up, which will be probably within a year or longer. So based on that, instead of watching this funding sit in the bank, would you advise doing some sort of short-term investment such as a CD, or the other option that we're looking at? We found a nice little home here close by that looks to me to be a really good investment. And if he would purchase that home, he would have he would use that down payment, and it would almost pay for this home. And he would have a place to kind of get familiar with what home ownership is for at least the next year or two. And then once he gets ready to build, he could sell that home, take the equity, and that would probably supersede what he might put in a CD.
Interesting. Yeah, some good options there, Larry. That's really helpful. All right, let's do this. I've got up against my first break, or my next break, I should say, but I've got some thoughts on this, as you might imagine, so I'll weigh in on that on the other side. If you can stay right there, I'd love to try to give you some counsel that you can pass along to your son. Eric, JC, Luann coming your way as well. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Faith and Finance is underwritten by Certified Kingdom Advisor Kevin Bruce with Align Investment Research, helping families across Collin County honor God by stewarding wealth with wisdom and purpose. Because true peace of mind comes from aligning wealth with God's design. Learn more at align7.com or call 972-972-8465. 972-972-8465. Align is a registered investment advisor.
Decades of pulpit ministry, John MacArthur taught several messages on the perfection that awaits Christians in heaven. And as you probably have heard, John is currently experiencing that perfection after going to be with Christ about 2 weeks ago. So join us for what we think is a fitting broadcast. It's John MacArthur teaching on heaven on today's Grace to You.
Are you a financial professional looking to grow your practice while offering advice that aligns with your Christian values? By becoming a certified Kingdom Advisor, you'll gain the biblical wisdom and professional credibility to serve clients who are seeking faith-based financial guidance. Each year, more than 75,000 people search for a certified Kingdom Advisor. Join our community and share your expertise with clients looking for someone who shares their faith and values. Start your journey today by going to kingdomadvisors.com/get-certified. Are you looking for a better way to align your faith with your finances? The FaithFi app is here to help. With tools to track your spending, plan your giving, and grow in wise stewardship, you'll learn to see money not as your security, but as a tool for God's glory. Rooted in biblical principles, FaithFi equips you to trust God more fully and steward His resources faithfully. Download the FaithFi app today from your app store or visit faithfi.com and click app.
I'm Dr. Ray Rooney. The mission of American Family Association is to inform, equip, and activate individuals and families to strengthen the moral foundations of American culture and give aid to the church here and abroad in its task of fulfilling the Great Commission. AFA aims to evangelize the lost and disciple the believer.
Thank you for standing with the American Family Association as we seek to stop the erosion of godly values.
Are you feeling overwhelmed by credit card debt? As followers of Christ, we are called to be good stewards of what God has given us. That's why our trusted partner, Christian Credit Counselors, is here to help. Their debt management program can help you pay off your debt 80% faster while honoring your commitments in full. Take the first step toward financial freedom today. Visit ChristianCreditCounselors.org or call 800-557-1985.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
Great to have you with us today on Faith and Finance here on American Family Radio. I'm Rob West. We're taking your calls and questions today, 800-525-7000. We've got a few lines open. Nearly all of them are full, but perhaps room for one more call right now, 800-525-7000. Before the break, we were talking to Larry, a regular listener to the program. His son is 33, has some money for a down payment on a house. He wants to buy a home. He's about a year away from that. He's wondering what should he be doing with the money in the meantime over the next, let's say, 12 months. He was talking about CDs and then mentioned the possibility of buying another or perhaps smaller home with the prospect of selling it here a year down the road, hopefully to pull some additional funds out that he could put toward this other home. Larry, my thoughts are this. I think a CD is going to be your best option. If you look at high yield savings rates right now, They are dipping. Right now about the best you're going to find is about 4.2%. Most of them are closer to 4 or even slightly less with FDIC insurance. But we also know that rates will be headed down over the next year, or at least we have good reason to believe they will. Perhaps not when the Fed meets, in a few days, but certainly in the next meeting or the one after that. Most economists expecting by year end we're going to see cuts to the federal funds rate, which means these savings rates are going to come down. So over the balance of the year, you may end up settling out with only about 3% if you have high yield savings. So I think the CD is the best option. About the best I know of right now is with our friends at Christian Community Credit Union, which, would allow you to be with a banking partner that shares your values, which is great. They've got a welcome CD that they call the welcome certificate for 10 months at 4.25%, which would give him, a couple of months. If he wanted to do it a little bit sooner, he'd have the money out before a full year. He gets a nice interest rate locked in for the next 10 months. I think that could be a great option. You can learn more about that at faithfi.com/banking. That's about the best you'll find. I mean, if I look at other CDs just kind of going across all the online banks, about the best I'm seeing is 4.25% anyway, and most of them are slightly less than that, 4.1, 4.15. So I think that would give you best of class rates with a trusted partner that's insured, but also shares your values as a Christ follower. I'm not excited about, him taking and investing it in anything that has the potential to lose value, just given the time horizon of a year. Primarily because, there's always the risk that the market could turn against him, number one. So, if home values drop or stay flat, he would lose money because especially with real estate, you have significant transaction costs, realtor fees, closing costs, moving expenses that eat into your gains. And that's why, my rule of thumb is you want to stay in a home at least 3 to 5 years. And with, where rates are now, you may even want to say 5 to 7, but at least 3 to 5 to offset the costs of buying and selling. And that gives the market time to appreciate and helps you avoid losing money to fees and closing costs. And the last thing I'd want is, 12 months from now, all of a sudden we find ourselves in a recession, which is possible. I mean, I like a lot of what President Trump is doing. I think it's going to set us up for a robust economy, but you never know what outside factors could drive, the economy down. And if that were to happen, he could get stuck with having his money illiquid, without having, the ability to come up with the cash he needs or to take potentially a loss when he tries to free up that investment capital. So I think that's where the CD is going to be the best option.
Well, you just verified my thoughts, and I appreciate it. And one other note is that we still have plans of coming down, my wife and I. And once I find a dog sitter, we got a new pup, so we got to find a dog sitter, and we're going to head that way.
All right, you're going to let me know, right? Because we're doing Mexican for lunch, I think.
That's exactly right.
All right. I can't wait, Larry. Looking forward to meeting you face to face. That'll be a lot of fun. What kind of pup did you get?
We've got a golden retriever, and I wanted to talk to you down there about financing some bones for us. She chews them all to pieces.
That's great. Well, we're a golden retriever family ourselves, so we share the love for those sweet dogs that are such great family pets. So, hey, thanks for your call today, Larry. God bless you and your son and your wife and all the your future endeavors. Keep me posted on that trip here to Atlanta. God bless you, my friend. Let's go to Eric, who's been waiting patiently. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I had a few questions. I have accent, so
no problem. I love it.
Okay. My questions are that I retired not really by choice, like 15th this year. Kind of that's what I was doing. September this year.
What age in September did you say?
I'll be 64.
64, okay.
September this year, so, and the things I'm trying to do, I did go ahead and start getting Social Security, which is about almost $2,800 a month.
All right.
That's on income softball field, and they gave me $100,000 severance. They whatever paycheck. I made about $156,000 between January and my separation day. So I've been just blanking on that income, and I'm used to bringing in, but I've worked for 38 years, $10,000 a month after taxes and whatnot and everything. So now I'm down to just that. And the question is, I've made it talk to my parents, my checking account now, I've got around $175,000 in it. I owe on this new home $129,000. I could pay it off. This will knock my checking account down to $40,000 or $50,000 for living expenses. When I sell the townhouse, which I'm not sure, it just got on the market a week ago, I'll have enough equity to pay it off and pay this one off. Well, I'll have no mortgages, and I'll have that too. I don't know whether, and then the first full question is, I don't know whether to go ahead and pay, and I don't know the interest rate exactly, but I imagine both of them are around 6% or 6.25% on those mortgages. Because I haven't had either one of them that long. So I'm trying to decide whether to go ahead and pay this one mortgage off on the newer home. It's about $129,000 left, and that would knock my checking account down to $40,000 or $50,000 for living expenses. Try to hold off until I sell the townhouse, and I don't know if that's going to take weeks or months or what. I would think.
Yeah. And how much longer do you have on the severance?
Well, it was just a lump sum.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it. So that's what's in your savings right now. All right, I got it. That's helpful. Let's do this. I've got to hit this break. When I come back, I'll give you my thoughts. We'll talk about where you go from here. This is Faith and Finance. We'll be right back.
Faith and Finance is underwritten by certified Kingdom advisor Kevin Bruce with Align Investment Research, helping families across Collin County honor God by stewarding wealth with wisdom and purpose. Because true peace of mind comes from aligning wealth with God's design. Learn more at align7.com or call 972-972-8465. 972-972-8465. Align is a registered investment advisor.
Eyes focused on Jesus. I'm Christy Graham, host of On the Ground with Samaritan's Purse, and I want to encourage you in your walk with God. Listen each week as we go behind the scenes of our work around the world. You'll be challenged and encouraged in your own faith as you hear how God is actively changing lives. Join us for On the Ground with Samaritan's Purse, Sundays at 8:30 a.m. Central, right here on American Family Radio.
FaithFi is grateful for support from One Ascent. One Ascent believes that your values inspire why you invest and how they can inspire how you invest. One Ascent's goal is to provide solutions designed for every need and invest in businesses that bless the people and places God has made. They want to help investors do well by doing good, to explore a new way of investing that aligns with your values. More information is available at oneascent.com and by clicking Analyze My Investments.
Jesus said, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Today, put your heart into something that makes an eternal impact. Heart for Lebanon is sharing the gospel and protecting girls from early marriage, child labor, and violence. Your gift of $114 helps reach 3 at-risk girls with hope and a brighter future. Give generously. Text FAITH to 98656. That's FAITH to 98656. Or visit faithfi.com/Lebanon.
with us today on Faith and Finance here on American Family Radio. Coming up in just a moment, Bob Dahl checks in with his update on the market as we begin a new trading week. We're watching the markets. The market is little changed on the all of the major indexes, the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ, as we process the news from the weekend around the EU trade deal, and we're seeing a baseline tariff that's being established. We also have some new economic data. Bob will catch us up on all of that straight ahead. But first, Eric is recently retired. It was not his choice, but he did get a nice severance payout of about $175,000. He's got 2 mortgages because he's just moved into a newer home closer to family. He has a townhouse. He's looking to sell that, but that could take a little while. He doesn't know exactly. You never do. Both of them have mortgages which are running about $4,000 a month. He has taken Social Security, almost 64 years old. He's getting about $2,800 a month. And basically, what are your total living expenses right now, Eric, when you add the $4,000 in debt service to all of your other living expenses? What does it take on a monthly basis right now in retirement for you to cover your lifestyle spending?
With the 2 mortgages?
Yes.
Probably we really cut our life expenses way down, so I probably only spending about $1,000 a week on living, other than, so if you add that to 2 mortgages and a car payment, 35. So probably between $5,500 a month right now, utilities at home.
Okay, yeah. And so you've got $2,800 coming in, so you're pulling $3,000 a month to continue everything from the savings, is that right?
Yeah, just what's in my checking account.
Yeah, so you're supplementing
that. It's not
that.
really a savings account, it's just I've got a money market. I mean, it's the same thing, it's not getting interest.
Right. But that's how you're funding your lifestyle, is you're pulling that out of that money market every month.
Yeah, I'm checking.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, so I think the key is that things change quite a bit when you get these mortgages paid off. The question is, how do you get from here to there? And so the good news is you guys are living modestly. You're going to be completely debt-free, and you've got enough equity in this townhome. So I think, you're not getting, if your mortgage is 6%, you get a guaranteed return equal to that interest rate when you pay it off. And you're certainly not getting 6% on the money sitting in your money market. So I think that's a good move to go ahead and pay off the mortgage. You could look at which one would be better, but you certainly, what are the balances on each of them?
Well, okay, the home I moved in is probably worth $275,000, but I only owe $125,000. So that's the one I could pay off. The townhome that I'm selling, the market value is somewhere close to $350,000. I expect it, even after paying 5% realtor fee, I expect to clear at least close to $325,000 or $315,000, and my balance is about $200,000. So I expect to get definitely over $100,000 in equity. So if I sold that next week, that would be paid off, and I could pay this off. It's all got to sell.
Yeah, no, that's good. Have you listed it yet?
You're advising the present mortgage that I can afford. I can't afford to pay a townhouse off, but I can pay $149,000 off and get that fixed.
That's right, and that does 2 things. It saves a guaranteed, equivalent of that interest rate you were paying, but it also, by paying it off in full, eliminates that payment, which I realize is probably the smaller of the 2, but it's probably at a higher interest rate because it's newer. But either way, it frees up some of that monthly debt service that you're having to put toward that mortgage on the new home. And then I think the name of the game is, how quickly can we get the townhouse sold, because that resolves everything. It further drops your monthly spend down to something that you can easily cover with your Social Security, and puts you in a good spot where you still got plenty of liquid assets. You may even have enough, because I'd probably look to keep somewhere around 6 months expenses in liquid savings, so you may be able to take the rest and hire an advisor to begin to deploy that for you and help you, invest that to get a nice return, so that you've got something. Hopefully, you don't have to touch anytime soon, but you've got something building for the future, so that if you needed long-term care or some other kind of major expense down the road, that would be the funds you would draw from.
Okay, yes, sir, and that's kind of the advice I thought you'd give me, but I know your time limit. This is a quick question. It's more important. I've got about $750,000 or $800,000 in a 401k account that I have access to in a long time, and I don't really want to, but back when the election, I'm not going to get into politics, but when the election didn't go the way I wanted to, when the market was at 2,800, I was afraid it would go down, so I moved it on to just a safe money market. It was only making 0.5% then. I don't know if it's changed, but so if I'd left it in the market, then it'd been worth $300,000 or $400,000.
Yeah. And so you're wondering, is now the time to go into the market?
No, well, yeah, I don't think this is the time to go to the market. I just look for something better than a money market. Back when they did it, it was making 0.5%. Now it could have gone up. I don't know if it does it automatically or about locking rates.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, we've got the guy to answer that. I'll put that in front of Bob Dahl here in just a second, so you hang on and listen. But that's a game changer. I didn't realize you had another $800,000 out there. That puts you in a really strong position, Eric. So thanks for your call. Continue to listen. We'll talk to Bob about this here. Bob, glad to have you with us today. A lot going on. Let's start there. So Eric, doing retirement, he's living modestly. He's going to be completely debt free. Got probably a couple of years worth of expenses in the bank, but he's also got this $800,000 401k. For somebody who's got a significant portfolio, they're on the sideline for whatever reason. How do you think about, especially sitting here at all-time highs, moving money back into the market? When you decide it's time, do you do it all at once, or do you try to stagger it?
Definitely stagger. The dollar cost averaging method, which is extra important in my view at a high. If the market were at a low, which of course is not, you could be a little more aggressive. So I would put the money in, but I'd take my time.
Yeah, I think that's the key, Eric. At 65, I mean, given what you have, you're living modestly, you don't need this money. I mean, you could have 40 to 45% easily in stocks, and then put the other, the rest of it in fixed income, maybe some precious metals, but largely fixed income, CDs and treasuries, and maybe some corporate bonds, or something like that. But again, I think that's where an advisor could really help you not only deploy the right investment strategy and deploy it over maybe the next 6 months, to Bob's point, but also even align it with your values. And if you need an advisor, just go to faithfi.com, click Find a Professional. Bob, let's kind of pull out a bit and just talk a little higher level. Let's start with the announcement over the weekend. Is it as significant as the president was alluding to with the EU?
Well, it's certainly significant. He entitled the best deal ever. I don't know if that's the case, but it clearly is significant. Japan recently, now the European Union, he's making some progress. I mean, the devil's always in the details, and the framework is important to start with, but you got to iron out the details, dot the I's, cross the T's, and that can take some time. But we're making progress on the trade front.
Bob, you and I have been talking for a long time just about the prospect of recession, and you updated that, using the recession odds, which are a thing out there, at Polymarket and others. Give us an update on that.
Yeah, the high, according to places like Polymarket, which is really where money changes hands on these odds, got as high as 60% in late April, early May. You may recall we got as high as 50%, but that indicator is now saying just 18%. So it's dropped a bunch, which is part of the reason why the market is up literally 33%, a third since its low in April.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that is significant.
Yeah, wow is right.
Yeah, and so to think about, if we get these trade deals behind us, I mean, even with higher interest rates, and it's been so interesting for so long, Bob, as went the Fed, so went the market, and yet the Fed is not driving any of this, at least for all intents and purposes. Is that right?
It is. It's being driven by the removal of perceived negatives, the trade being a perfect example, by decent earnings. First quarter, we're quite good. Second quarter, we're partway through. This is the busiest week for second quarter earnings reports, but so far so good there. And just hope that AI and other areas of our economy will strengthen and allow the economy to grow and profits to grow and the market to go up.
It's not all good news, Bob. Yeah, with Bob, we've only got 30 seconds. Talk about just the job picture and even housing as potential chinks in the armor here.
Yeah, the job market, as we've said several times, is so-so. Watch the job number. We could have below 100,000 new jobs announced this Friday, first in a while. And housing continues to deteriorate. As you know, home prices coming down some because they got very high and mortgage rates are high.
Yeah, very good. All right, Bob, we always appreciate it, my friend. Thanks for stopping by.
All the best.
I count on Bob's market commentary every week to get my investment and market news. You can too. It's free to you when you go to crosswireglobal.com to sign up for Dole's Deliberations. JC, I am so sorry we didn't get to you today. I'd love to get you first up on the broadcast tomorrow. Let's see if Sandy can get you scheduled for that. We appreciate your call, though. Folks, thanks for being along with us today. I hope you found something helpful and encouraging today. Remember, you've got your ultimate treasure. Big thanks to my team today, Jim Bailey, Evan Patrick, Sandy Dickinson, everybody here at Big Five. And Lord bless you. Come back and join us tomorrow. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
90.5 KTXG Greenville, Dallas. Radio has always been portable, but thanks to technology, AFR apps have redefined our portability. Whether you prefer Apple or Android, we've got you covered on phone or tablet. We're also available on Roku, and of course, you can get Alexa to play us on your smart device. Take us with you across town or across the country. Visit AFR.net store today. Family Radio, the listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, almost immediate. Authorities are seeking to file terrorism and assault charges against the man who stabbed 11 people inside a Michigan Walmart. Todd Pyro has the details, including more.
That Marine veteran, later identified as Derek Perry, being held a hero for confronting a man accused of stabbing 11 people inside that Walmart. The moment the veteran drew his gun to confront the suspect, commanding him to drop his weapon. Several other people are also seen helping, ordering the suspect to lay on the ground. Police are crediting everyone involved for stopping that violent madman. The suspect identified as 42-year-old Bradford James Gilly.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and the Chinese Vice Premier will be meeting in Sweden today, while President Trump seems optimistic about negotiations.
We're very close to a deal with China. We really sort of made a deal with China, but we'll see how that goes. This is really the biggest trading partnership in the world, so we should give it a shot, right?
Meanwhile, Arkansas Republican Senator Tom Cotton encourages U.S. negotiators to use the export of fentanyl from China into Mexico before making its way to the U.S. to their advantage.
China is coming for our kids, partly through this reverse opium war they're waging with the importation of fentanyl and fentanyl precursors into North America. They don't view this as something that's their responsibility or a moral catastrophe on their part. They view it as a point of leverage. If President Trump and administration officials have to raise fentanyl importation when they sit down with their Chinese counterparts, that's one more item on the list before they get to things like China stealing our intellectual property or China excluding our products like Arkansas rice. So they view it as a point of political leverage, as you say.
Back to school season is about to kick off, and chronic absenteeism remains a huge problem. The number of school kids not attending class has increased to more than 25%. Education Secretary Linda McMahon says America's schools are failing, and that's one of the reasons so many kids have stopped going.
I've signed a memo of understanding with the Department of Labor and I'm working very closely with Lori Chavez DeRaymer, the Secretary of Labor, because all of these workforce development projects that you're talking about, I believe, start in K through 12 and then go into higher education. We have to have pathways. SHOP would be included. Technology would be included. A lot of the skill-based learning that's hands-on. I'm visiting more and more schools that are doing that. So as we take those best practices and offer them to different states and say, look what this state is doing, provide them with toolkits to say, oh, we can take part of this and put it into our curriculum. We're going to see more and more of that happen across the country. That's my goal.
An anti-trafficking organization is sounding the alarm on a popular AI tool, and parents must be aware of this. Reed Ritter explains.
Speaking to American Family News, Haley McNamara, who works with the National Center on Sexual Exploitation, explained that X, formerly Twitter, has created an AI tool called Grok that will have sexually explicit conversations with users, and this is putting children's safety at risk.
This is a problem with X, formerly Twitter, which, as many people know, also has created an AI app called Grok. Unfortunately, they have decided to create some not safe for work features within this app, including a AI character named Annie, who will have sexually explicit conversations with users through the chatbot. The reality, unfortunately, is that the not safe for work feature means sexually explicit, and unfortunately, there is no age verification to prevent children from accessing this tool.
The social media platform has said that it wants to release a more kid-friendly AI tool called Baby Grok, but McNamara believes that this could create yet another threat to child safety online.
We believe that they do not have a good track record on prioritizing child safety, and they probably shouldn't be trying to make products for kids until they make all of their products safe.
McNamara also said that people can help with this issue by going to the National Center on Sexual Exploitation's website and signing the petition telling Grok to remove the sexually explicit features. I'm Reed Ritter.
More news online at afn.net and on the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty Peter.
I'm thoroughly looking forward to our Weekend with AFA coming up in October, where we're going to be able to meet our supporters like yourself, to fellowship, to visit our facilities here in Tupelo, and to have everyone come together for a wonderful weekend.
It's a Weekend with AFA, Thursday, October 2nd through Saturday, October 4th in Tupelo, Mississippi. Speakers will include Abraham Hamilton III, Jenna Ellis, Tim Barton, Tim Wildman, and more. Register at afa.net/weekend.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildman, President of the American Family Association.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Today's Monday, July the 28th, 2025. Again, welcome to the program, and thanks for listening to AFR. Good morning, Fred Jackson.
Good morning to you, Tim.
Good morning, Chris Woodward.
Good morning.
And again, we thank everybody for listening to Today's Issues. Fred, if folks want to join us via the internet, how do they do that?
Why? There's all kinds of ways to do that. You can go to AFA.net, AFR.net,
right?
And dial us up there and listen in. I use the app a whole lot, Tim, when I'm traveling.
Yeah, me too.
That is just a wonderful tool. You know, as you drive along, you may kind of travel outside one of our towers. Bring up that app on your phone, your smartphone. Put it in most cars today. You can do that attachment. You can drive along, and you never miss a second of American Family Radio.
Absolutely. So check that out. Download the app and listen anywhere in the world, as long as you have high-speed internet service to
That's
the
right.
AFR. Get the AFR app. Well, we have a guest on that we're delighted to have with us, and he's only got a few minutes, so we're going to jump right in here and talk to Brendan Carr. He is the chairman of the Federal Communications Commission, and he joins us. I'm not sure where he joins us from. Commissioner, Chairman, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, great to be with you. I'm in Washington, D.C. at the FCC's headquarters. And listen, unlike most broadcasters, I think I'm safe. I don't need to be worried about any indecency or other issues where we might have to find you for the segment. You guys should be good to go.
Good. If we get fined because something the FCC chairman said, I don't know, the world's coming to an end or something. But anyway.
I did get bleeped on one program once. I got a little bit too excited and let it go. But, you know.
Well, we got a 7-second delay here that we can put into order, but hopefully that won't be needed here. We're not trying to upset you for any reason here. But thank you for being on with us on today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. By the way, what is your background? I'm just curious, prior to becoming the FCC chairman.
Yeah, I'm a lawyer by trade. I actually started at the FCC as a staffer all the way back in 2012. So over a dozen years ago, I started the general counsel's office there, and I've had a lot of opportunities inside the building ever since then. I got to work for a commissioner as a legal advisor, and then I actually was general counsel of the agency during the first Trump administration, and then President Trump nominated me from there to be a commissioner. So I served in that job for about 5 or 6 years before President Trump tapped me at the beginning of this term to be chairman of the FCC. And so it's been a bit of a Forrest Gump-like career for me inside this building, but it's been a lot of fun, a lot of different jobs.
Tell our listeners who may not know, I think people have a general concept of the FCC, and of course we deal with the FCC because we're in the radio business and have for, since 1991 when we started. But tell our listeners generally, what are 2 or 3 things that you guys are responsible for?
Yeah, so the FCC regulates traditional broadcast TV and radio. That's probably our longest standing area. In fact, that's basically why the FCC was invented back in the 1930s, was to make sure that radio stations didn't interfere with each other. And obviously it's expanded over time. So we regulate, mobile wireless. We regulate to some extent broadband and telecommunications issues. And we, administer a $10 billion a year fund that's designed to subsidize internet builds in rural communities. So basically, anything sort of tech or telecom related effectively touches the FCC, and we're authorized for 5 commissioners total. Right now we have 3, 2 Republicans, 1 Democrat right now. The majority of what we do is bipartisan, unanimous, but occasionally we do things that get contentious and end up breaking down on party lines.
Like what?
Well, the first one we had in this administration was we're engaged in a massive deregulatory initiative. So we have this proceeding called In-Rate, Delete. We're looking at all of our rules and regulations and getting rid of ones that simply aren't necessary anymore. And my Democrat colleague, who I get along with well, thought that we were moving a little too fast or deleting too many rules at one time. And so we sort of, broke waves there. Historically, probably the biggest partisan issue we had at the FCC was, if you remember, net neutrality. Net neutrality was all the rage a couple of years ago, and the Republicans on the FCC, myself included, eliminated these sort of Obama-era net neutrality rules, and we were told that it was going to be the end of the world as we know it, and that millions of people would die. Of course, that did not happen. In fact, the internet's faster today than it was then. It's more affordable than it was back then, but it's a really interesting set of issues. And one thing we're looking at now is I've laid out what agenda, which is trying to make it easier to get shovels turning and do permitting reform, get more spectrum out there for your cell phone. So it's an entire agenda designed to sort of get rural communities connected much faster than what we've seen over the last couple of years.
Fred, you had a question?
Yes, Chairman Carr, Fred Jackson here. Boy, a lot in the news about the announcement of a merger between Paramount and Skydance Media. Charges being laid. It was a bit of a quid pro quo that President Trump got $16 million from CBS on the Kamala Harris editing of that segment. In return, Stephen Colbert is gone, and you know what the left-wing media is saying about all that. How do you respond to those charges that it was a quid pro quo, just did this to kind of make this merger happen?
Well, there was a lawsuit, as you indicated, that was outside the FCC and was separate from us. Here at the agency, we just ran our normal course review of this transaction. We had a lot of other transactions in the queue. We worked our way through that. We then got to this one. And the upshot of this transaction, I think, is be a good one, because one of the things that CBS's new owners have committed to doing is to bring more fact-based, objective reporting to their news outlet. Similarly, they've agreed to end invidious forms of DEI discrimination that had got into the CBS outfit. So I think those are good things. But more broadly, I do think President Trump deserves an awful lot of credit for what we're seeing right now. You know, when President Trump decided to run, he really took on the entire legacy media establishment, particularly the broadcast TV outlets, you know, CBS, ABC, NBC, because for you know, frankly, for generations, those companies got to dictate the political narrative, and everyone just sort of lived within the reality constructed by those outlets. But President Trump did something different. He spoke directly to the American people. He was channeling this idea that the American people do not trust those legacy national outlets. And so he smashed this facade